Hi guys, welcome to this episode of CodeInsightTV. My name is Malcolm Groves. Back in April when RAD Studio 10.1 launched, I was fortunate enough to be in Berlin for the launch events, and I managed to grab some of Marco Cantu, the worldwide product manager for RAD Studio in Delphi. I managed to grab some of his time while we were there to sit down and have a chat. It was quite a long chat. This episode is probably going to be split over two, or the interview is going to be split over two episodes, covering not just RAD Studio 10.1, but also the roadmap, where it's heading, but also some non-RAD Studio related things, like how he got into development in the first place, some of what he's reading at the moment, what's happening with his books. I got him to open up a little bit on some of his experiences, what it's been like moving from being such a prominent community member to being kind of on the inside in Embarcadero, and what that's been like, what some of the challenges have been, and what some of the surprises have been. So I hope you find it an interesting interview. I have to thank Marco, because we did it quite early one morning, the morning after the main RAD Studio launch event and launch party. So we were both feeling a little bit dusty and a little bit lacking of sleep. We did have, partway through the episode, I'm going to call it an equipment failure. One of the cameras stopped working. So you'll notice that towards the end of this episode, some of the video cuts out. I'm going to blame it on a camera failure. I suspect maybe it might have been due to the early hour and my fragile state, that I maybe didn't set things up properly, but we'll run with equipment malfunction. But the audio is still there for the rest of it, so I'd encourage you to stick through to the end, even though the pictures disappear. So let's get on with the first half of this, and then, as I say, the second half will be coming in a future episode. Cheers. In Berlin.
Yep.
We had the RAD Studio 10.1 Berlin worldwide launch yesterday.
Yes, that was quite fun.
It was a long day, and I'm certainly feeling a bit worse for wear this morning. So I imagine you're even more so. So I appreciate you sitting there.
Yeah, I don't have my best voice, but I'll try to make it.
It's fine. So before we get into the 10.1 stuff, I just want to get a bit of an understanding of, I mean, a lot of people have read your books and they know something about it, but maybe they're like, it's very possible that a lot of people don't know much about your background prior to the Delphi role. So, I mean, how did you get into programming first, like when you were young?
The first time I got to see computers, that was, I think I was in high school, like 15, 16, and I got a Spectrum.
Okay.
Z80, a very small device for today's standard, but it was like quite a cool one.
Yeah.
And first thing I started doing right away was not just like playing games, which was of course part of it, but it was also trying to understand programming. And the first thing that was there, it was the first and only computer in the world that had keys with language instruction. It was basic, but so you have the run button, and you click run, and you have run in type in your code. That's like if there was an if button, so you wouldn't type the code.
It's like a productivity feature.
It's a productivity. That's something. Yeah, we still don't have that. I mean, so you press a single key, and you have so all of the keywords were of the language were there. So of course it was like really like very easy to get into that. But so that's the first thing I started doing, and then at that time. Occasionally you'll find like a tape where you could like get the application. But in most cases, you buy a magazine.
Yep.
And you have the listing, and you have to type everything into your computer to get the game going.
Find all the mistakes.
And find all the mistakes. So that was kind of the starting thing. Now,
how old were you in this?
I was like 15, 16.
Okay.
And I started doing like small things for the school, started doing experiments. And then the other thing that actually kind of early in the cycle, there was one Pascal compiler that was available for that, but also I started doing some assembly at that time. It was the only assembly I've done in my life. I mean, after that, I decided
quite a leap from I've got a Spectrum, now I'm going to do some assembly.
Sure, well, because some of those games you had to type the assembly because that's where you get the speed. I mean, the basic was slow, so it's like if you want speed, this really was like you had to go assembly. So, and I didn't do much, but I started. I mean, like taking a game, modifying it a bit, doing experiments. So that's how I got a little bit into it. And then when a few years afterwards, I got like my first PC, although it was not like what you get today as a PC. I think originally didn't have the hard drive. It was like dual floppy with the big floppies.
Oh, but floppies were a progression from the Spectrum.
Absolutely. Oh no, yeah. Well, it was the tapes, and at that point I could run Windows 1 on that machine. Windows 1 on two floppies. So I had like replace the floppy, like program data. Yeah. It was like absolutely crazy, but yeah, it's just so I started getting like something slightly more interesting, and as after a little bit, got like a Turbo Pascal. Yeah. I think it was 3.
The rest is history.
Yeah. And then things like started flowing in that direction.
Okay. And so then the other question so that's one question that I often find really interesting, how people get into this industry to start with. The other thing that I'm interested in is, leaving Embarcadero aside, what is it at the moment that you're really interested in from a technology point of view? What sort of thing can't you stop thinking about, or
I'm trying to follow and understand some of the disruptive technologies that are happening today, from like sharing economy, some of the cloud-based stuff. Actually, just
from a business model point of view, from a technology.
Well, it's a mix.
Yeah.
It's a mix. No, I tend to focus more on the technology side than purely the business side. I mean, but yeah, I just read the Second Machine Age book, which is a very interesting reading. It's a book that just I noticed something that I was mentioning, like kind of repeating some of the words without quoting it formally, but in his big keynote. So it's like, I think a few people have read it.
Okay.
It's a very interesting book. It covers how the current speed of evolution of the technology is really posing challenging in terms of replacing human work, not just the physical mechanical work, but the brain work, like automatic driving or like that's a good example. How disruptive it can be, but how the model could be having machines that augment what people do rather than replace what people do. So it's very interesting, and again, it has a huge business and social impact, but also has like a very distinct technological side. That is, it's an interesting reading. Yeah, it's not like an easy book like written by economists. There's a lot of data research that might be a little boring, but the points they make is interesting, and the acceleration that we are witnessing is exponential.
Yeah.
And that's visible. And then again, some of the power of the pervasive power of things like combining the 2 billion smartphones out there with the cloud services like Amazon really makes possible to do things that were unthinkable. Yeah. Even for a startup, even for like a technology-driven company has the ability to distribute an application to billions of people and have like an incremental cost on the back end.
Without this big upfront investment.
Yeah, which opens up the way for disruptive stuff to happen. Yeah. Like Uber, like other stuff. I mean, this is made possible by today's technology. So the technology side and the more business side are really interconnected. And I spend some time playing games. I mean, I get games that my son gets just to play together and do stuff. But this is extremely visible in the mobile gaming world, where a few companies that are relatively new have been able to do some impressive home runs by leveraging that ability and having like good technology, having good business model, but also really being able to leverage. Doing things the right way in terms of technology balance, it seems like, for example, even the way that some of the recent games have been introduced regionally to do like A/B testing, to do at a huge scale, and also to do workload testing. If you open up a popular game that can get like hundreds of thousands of people an hour that add to the game. Like if Supercell did introducing the new series of Clash, the card game. That can be a like impressive disruption, and the way they've managed it from a technical / business perspective was really impressive. So again, and of course I also play those games, so that adds the fun
it's interesting
to witnessing the model.
To go back to your ZX Spectrum and typing in games from the back of magazines, I remember back in those days that if you could spend the days required to type in this game from a magazine, what you ended up with was not that much worse than the current games at the time that you could buy. It was worse, but it was not a dramatic difference. Whereas until recently, with the mobile game movement, it seemed like building that quality of game was out of the reach of anyone but massive studios. And then the indie gaming and the mobile gaming movement came along and made it approachable again.
No, that's true, and the gaming. Gaming is interesting. It's fun if you like playing computer games, but it's also very interesting as a concept, as a movement, and the business side of it is also quite interesting. In gaming, there is of course a huge push to like leverage the computing power we have today with like impressive graphics and unbelievable stuff. But if you consider the last 10 years, the two largest blockbuster success have been games that have put the quality of the video image at the lowest of their point. The Nintendo Wii was like crappy in terms of graphic stuff, but in his time it was like a huge success. That thing's changed, but that's another story. And today's, if you look at Minecraft has the ugliest graphic you can believe, and it's the blockbuster success. A company that has one game that's partially open, with open source backend, sold for like $2 billion. So it's like, what the heck is happening? And if you look at the game from a graphic perspective, you play 1 minute and say this is a piece of crap. But if you look, I look my son playing. It's unbelievable. It's really like recreating an entire world and with its own logic, its own behavior. Extremely open, so bordering open source in terms of model flexibility, plugin architecture on client and servers. It's been interesting from the technical perspective, like how you extend stuff, how you build community around it. It's probably interesting on the business side, although I haven't really delved much into that side. Games are somehow an interesting angle for the computer evolution, and at times, there are significant surprises.
Okay. I think most of the people who are watching probably know you best from your books. What are you currently writing? What's the status of the book?
No, it was kind of an effort with my current job in Embarcadero to get out that language book. That's it's like 95% written, but the last 5% was like really took me a lot of time. I'm considering taking some of my material and like updating it into today's standard. That's possible. Writing something from scratch would be extremely challenging time-wise. So I'm considering moving some of the stuff over, but it's effort. So
Okay.
well, we'll see. We'll see. Right at this very moment, I'm not really engaged into writing, but I'm considering options.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So let's turn a bit more to Embarcadero. So I'm not sure that I've seen a lot from you. It's where you're speaking about what your experience has been like since you joined as the product manager for RAD. You've come from being a really visible community member to being the driver for basically for the product that the community's built around. What's that experience been like transitioning from over to the inside?
I mean, overall, it's been a very nice experience. So, with its ups and downs, I mean, as it happens, I mean, but it's been an interesting experience. I mean, it's like, I mean, going backstage, you get a different angle and different perspective. Sure. You still see the same people acting, but it's a different view of the same things happening. Yeah. So
what's that saying about you don't want to see what goes on in the sausage factory?
There are things that you better not explain on the backstage, but also things that are really thrilling. I mean, if you consider like the real backstage, I mean, the preparation and the effort. I mean, at times, like the care for some of the details that you see backstage, and you might miss if you're like watching the show. I mean, the same happens to the product. I mean, some of the internal discussions, the knowledge of the R&D team members. I mean, it's really impressive. I mean, at times, why don't we do this? But the implications and the complexity that's in the product is really hard to grasp, and that's what I've come to learn, with the guidance of these people over the last few years. So, and of course, then, I mean, talking with customers is slightly different. Although people still approach me asking for like code snippets, ideas, suggestions. I mean, like it was before. But also, I can get into conversation, and at times I can solve, customers' issues, or get their feedback and help drive the product in the right direction, and that's very nice. Be able to, not the first year was like learning more, but then when I started to be able to like pinpoint features that were relevant, and so then delivered, and so the customer, and it's like a year from what you envision something. You get something done, and get to the people.
See your stamp on part of it.
And it's so really nice, and I think it's been helping the product. Then there are things that you wish you could do, and you can, and it's fine. I mean, you can try to work around things and find good solutions anyway. And trying to open up some of the processes, some of the discussions. That's also very nice.
Okay. So maybe that brings us to what we were actually in Berlin for, the 10.1 launch. So, people can watch the webinars and they can read the feature matrix and all that sort of stuff. But from your point of view, what do you think is the key takeaways that people should know about 10.1?
I think the key takeaway is like building on 10 Seattle. There were things that were started and didn't really got to completion, so it's really one step. I think it's a significant step because there's so much. There are so many hidden gems. Not like there are a couple of very nice like high level features that we're very proud of. I'm personally very proud of this mobile preview, just because we've been able to do something that no one's doing today in the industry, and I'm sure that in like a year and a half time frame, I won't be surprised if Visual Studio or Android Studio provide like a mobile preview in there. I won't be surprised at all. And honestly, it's good to be leading the technology. Not just our RAD Studio technology, but technology at large. We have done a few things in the mobile space in a few years that have set a mark in with bigger players. Honestly, we're not the big guys in that field by far. But it's nice to be able to influence what others are doing with the product. I mean, that's been the case for Delphi and RAD Studio for many years now. I mean, from the Java component model to a lot of the stuff in .NET and C#. I mean, that there is a big watermark that says Delphi has been influencing these things that and yeah, I mean, at times they can get better than the master. At times we've kept up with stuff, so it's a process, and we have borrowed back technologies from other sides as well. So it's not like we are always for it. That would be completely crazy. But be able to again throw out one small technology gem that is going to set a path. I think that's nice for the product. It's nice for the product to say, yeah, I'll be able to. But it's not been the biggest endeavor. I think the biggest endeavor is really the new installer. I mean, it's really it's not because there is a new installer. Yeah, there is a new installer. That's nice. But the thing is, was moving from taking the installer as like an external piece of things. I mean, run your stuff, get something done, to integrating a modular technology into the IDE. That was the big challenge. I mean, today you can install a complete IDE with 180 meg executable. You install it. You don't download anything. You have a working IDE. Yeah. That was a huge challenge. From, I mean, defining the model, defining the thing, implementing it was pretty hard. And it can be a huge foundation for lots of things to come in the future. So
sets the stage for enabling other things.
It enables a ton of things. So that was, I mean, yeah, for users, it's used when they install it and not like for the rest of the time. Yeah. But it really sets a stage that again is interesting because there are other technologies like this, but to this extreme, I haven't seen that much of it. I mean, where a product, I mean, you can get a running product, and what you're downloading, those 180 megs are like 1% of the product runs the product.
And really, the installer is not really an installer, it's the core of the product.
It's a core of the product. So the IDE becomes the features manager, and then we have already get it that adds extra modules, so everything becomes extremely dynamic, extremely flexible, and we can add features and stuff more easily into the existing core. And again, we're like 80% there. There's still like some small gaps here and there that we plan addressing, but what is a good start. And it was a nice accomplishment. It's a nice, and I think was one of the most one of the areas we got more complaints about. The installer is bad. So it was a good thing. Yeah, that's great. But again, then if you look in the product, there are lots of stuff that are there that are a lot. I mean, I like this logical selection of features that it's one single key selects, expands your selection to the next logical block. I mean, there are a few gems here and there that are really nice. New components, new stuff.
Well, it's funny, when I look back on different releases over the years, often my favorite releases are the ones where there's lots of little useful tweaks like that. I mean, I love a big feature like anybody else, but often the ones that I remember long term are the ones where there's been a bunch of little polishing enhancements.
And the focus has been really a lot around quality and improvements. I mean, and even some features, like take a feature that I really like, which is the floating designer, which kind of get us back to Delphi 7. It's back to the past.
Back to the future.
So that's a great feature in today's world because everyone's got like 2 monitors, and it's really easy to spread things around. And some people have been mentioning, but that was always in the product. And technically, yes, that has always been in the product. However, if you try to enable it, then there were like registry hacks to enable it.
It was unsupported for a reason.
Well, it wasn't for a reason. It was like as buggy as hell. It was like a disaster. I mean, things will never work. And so the largest part of the effort was going through all of those issues and fixing them all and making sure that it was good quality, and it is. So And also, we added like features and cleanup and smaller things alongside to make it a smoother experience. But the focus was really like addressing all of the potential issues that were surfacing. So
I was really impressed yesterday when you were talking about the quality metrics, like the number of issues resolved and customer reported issues resolved. I mean, Seattle was pretty good from that point of view, but this seems to have gone beyond that.
Last couple of releases, we've been. I need to check the metrics. I mean, because there are different ways to query the metrics, and you get slightly different numbers depending on what you consider as a. Well, because the easy metric is bugs that have been closed.
Yeah.
But closing can mean different things.
Sure.
I mean,
closing doesn't necessarily mean fixing.
No, closing may be, oh no, this is a design period, and this means someone in R&D is looking into it. It's not like a live statement, but it might be not exactly what the customer is expecting.
Yeah.
So fixing really means, okay, there is a bug, we address it. However, there are also other categories like, oh, this is a problem, it doesn't compile. Let's say to be a simple case. Doesn't compile in Seattle. Today Berlin, it compiles. It's fixed. How comes it's fixed? Well, we fixed like another 10 bugs and this like came along, so it just happened. So these are kind of the borderline fixes. That's really hard to categorize. But going back to that, I mean, we were roughly 400 or 500 bugs for the last like 2-3 releases with slightly up and downs, and again depending on the metrics for customer reported bugs, and generally about 4 times the internal bugs get fixed, and some of the internal bugs are bugs that are created because of new features, but a lot of them are like internal reported bugs that are reported on a version. We don't have time to get them nailed down, and so
while you're in that area, you might as
well. Or I mean, as the product starts shipping, we keep doing QA, we keep doing testing, and so things are found out. And also, like internal reported bugs can be bugs that are reported by support, so they are really customer cases, but they are reported with a different flow, so they become internal, but they are really
driven
by a customer. So it's a little gray area.
Yeah.
So about 5 times. So from that 500 level, we've gone up to almost 750. I was hoping to get 750. We're probably like a few bucks short. So it's like a 50% more.
Yeah.
And the same on the internal reported issue. So the metrics are high. Now, metrics don't tell the entire story, of course.
Well, sure, but it's an indicator.
There is more big about. But I mean, what if you go like from 10 to 15? I mean, But if you go from 500 to 700, I mean, it's in that 200 extra things, there is valuable stuff. I mean, for sure.
Absolutely.
I mean, it can be only trivial things. I mean, so.
A trivial bug can still
affect people. No, can still fix, but
can still throw you out of the flow.
But again, with these numbers, I mean, which are very significant, we still have bugs to fix. I mean, it's not that we're over.
Always.
I mean, the product is complex, it's extremely complex, and the way it's used goes beyond the imagination of anyone internally, either PMs or R&D. So that's part of the reason why that there can be so many open issues. I mean, it's at times are just pure bugs. I mean, something that was written wrong and false, but a large number of bugs or issues are really, well, what if I use this component for this purpose? It doesn't work. It should. And at times we say, no, sorry. Yeah. But at times say, it's a legitimate case. So let's keep that open and then and address it. Now, the thing we've been doing recently is actually veer some of these bugs into feature requests. The fact that we're even on the quality portal, we're separating bugs from features, kind of helps evaluating the 2 different buckets. I mean, a real issue that is something that's documented to work one way, and it doesn't, so it's technically a bug, or something that I would like to use this with this slightly different scenario, and we say makes sense. Let's add it as an extension to the product. So it would be like adding a property, adding a behavior, adding something that we should have thought at the beginning. So it's kind of bordering a bug, but still it's so that also helps prioritizing and managing things. It also helps getting a better visibility from the external. And I have an update of the quality portal welcome page. It's long overdue. It's on my table to really have a a view of, okay, these are the bugs open, these are the features open, these are the areas, this is the closing rate. So kind of to get, because we created the open quality portal to be able to be more open in the communication, and we haven't really leveraged it much. But that's one of the something waiting me. I had to ship this product first. That was higher priority, but
understandable.
But that's something on my table, and so we're trying to communicate. But so like internally we have. The other side of the thing that we don't cover in that metrics is that, I mean, out of the feature requests that we have pending, there are roughly 1,000 on the quality portal. If I remember, there are like probably 40 to 50 that we are actually addressing with the product. I mean. At times, the feature, the request coming from the user gets sucked into the requirements for the work. But if the requirements are already there and the feature comes in, we put it, we label it, say, okay, that's covered. Just it's not released, so we can say it's done because it's not done. So that we need to get back and say, yeah. So there's been easily like 50 or so feature requests that we also addressed in this release.
Okay.
Which is good.
Yeah. So obviously, the product's out. People can grab the trial version.
People can get the trial version using the new installer, so it's a nice experience.
Well, and I have to say, like during the beta program, the bandwidth in Australia is terrible, truly terrible. We seem to be sucking these things out with very skinny pipes over the Pacific Ocean. But it was remarkable how much faster the process was over the same skinny pipe. Like, it's not like we got a bandwidth boost.
Sure,
but
well,
the process was faster.
Yeah, the process. So it's two sides. I mean, I think the way we handle it. I mean, and of course, I mean, we talk about cloud. I mean, the entire, images and files are all cloud because that's the way we can do like massive distribution. You can use your own server and you can handle the spine. So. We use different systems. We have like a rather flexible model of remapping the URLs to different providers as business dictates. But yeah, so the core of the download happens there. The process is much smoother. Some of the packages are smaller, but also what happens after you download in terms of processing the files is significantly faster compared to the previous model. So,
okay.
Yeah, it's been a few things that built into the process and the model that are really helping quite a bit getting better speed. And the other big thing though is that you, specifically in a trial, you don't really need to install like every other feature. You start with the bits that you think you'll need, and then you can always add
a bit later.
Something later very easily. I mean, yeah, you could do that with the modify stuff, but that was odd and then hard to understand. Now it's obvious. I mean, add a platform, click, apply, you get the platform download, installed, and it's there. Yeah. Occasionally you might need to reboot the IDE. Okay, it's like taking 1 minute, but not even most of the time. So.
Yeah. I mean, in my experience, people with the old model used to select the configuration at the start and then not really ever change it.
Yeah, because it was kind of scary. Yeah. What's going to happen?
Working, I'm not going to touch it.
No, this really makes it very, very flexible. So again, the point is install what you need up front and then And I think we pre-select Win32 and iOS. The iOS bit is needed because a couple of the FireMonkey features are kind of not really working fine if you don't have any mobile platform, because they're really mobile related. So it's like, it's kind of.
We need the bare minimum mobile features to enable that.
Well, of course, we'll fix that in the future. We'll try to split things a little better, but if you're only looking for this, I mean, you can just go Windows. I mean, Win32, Win64, whatever you need of the two, C++, Delphi, is the language you prefer. And that becomes really, really a very fast installation process.